Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, is Colin Kaepernick a fit in Dallas as Dak Prescott's backup? Plus, Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson breaks down why the Cowboys might not miss Zeke as much as people think. And what are the chances LeBron James takes his talents to the Big Apple? Skip, Shannon, let's debate. Let's start with the Cowboys. Dak Prescott looked sharp Saturday night in his first preseason appearance, connecting on 7 of his 8 passes for 106 yards and a touchdown pass to Des Bryant. The same cannot be said for backup Kellen, who completed fewer than half of his passes for the second straight game. More struggles have reportedly raised concerns in the Cowboys front office. Skip, how should Cowboys fix this?
By the way, Kellen Moore, I'm sorry, and I'm a fan, but he's just been a flat-out disaster. First play of the night the other night, it's just like the ball just gets taken away from him. Mm-hmm. I really liked him at Boise State. I have never liked him as the backup quarterback for my Dallas Cowboys. Now, on to how to fix this. I would love to see my Cowboys sign, dare I say, Colin Kaepernick.
Wow.
In fact, the more I think about it, the more I thought about it just before this show started, the more I think this situation, this predicament screams for Colin Kaepernick. This would be the best fit for Colin Kaepernick in the entire National Football League for several reasons. An even better fit than he would have been in Seattle, where I think he would have been some threat, management thought, to a Russell Wilson, whose defense and other side of the ball has never been quite completely sold on Russell Wilson. So that's why I think they finally said no. And in this case, the Cowboys with Dak Prescott, they've already got some read option plays in their arsenal.
Correct.
They do it. They run them some in the game. So skill sets are pretty similar. Mm-hmm. I like Colin throwing out of the pocket. He's not been the most accurate passer. I don't think he's quite as accurate as Dak has shown so far.
No, he's not.
But he's got a big arm, and he can run this offense. I think he could step right into it tomorrow and get it pretty quickly, pick it up pretty quickly. And they have backs very experienced in read option plays. Alfred Morris, that first year in Washington, he had 1,600-plus yards. He was just 18 yards short of what Zeke had leading the league last year with RG3 running the spread option, right?
Yep.
And we know what Zeke did at Ohio State with Cardale Jones, what he did to Alabama. There was some read option going on there, right?
J.T. Barrett.
And J.T. Barrett. So I like that fit, and I also like the culture fit. I've always said this about the Cowboy culture. It absorbs big personalities and big issues better than any culture in the National Football League because, number one, the owner is the superstar of this team, right? And nobody's going to have the star power, the eclipse power that Jerry Jones. He eclipses everything, right?
Yep.
And then, as you know, you got Dak over here in one corner of the locker room, and then there's Zeke, and then there's Jason Witten, and now there's Jalen Smith on defense, and it's like you go into a multiplex of theaters, and you can just pick a theater every day because there's going to be a bigger story here, or maybe here.
Correct.
So Colin wouldn't be quite the focal point to start with, which I think could be a good thing for all involved, if he were a Dallas Cowboy. Even Greg Hardy, as much as I said no to Greg Hardy, at least he sort of got fitted in, like he got assimilated pretty quickly into the culture. Now, for the obvious negatives that should not be negatives. What did Jerry Jones say during the Hall of Fame weekend? You were there. At halftime of the, Thursday night Hall of Fame game, Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Jerry Jones in the booth at halftime, and they kept him over because he was so good and such a big personality, the star of the weekend. They kept him into the third quarter. What did he say? His biggest disappointment, he said this on national TV, as the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, is that he did not get Tony Romo to a Super Bowl. So to me, if there were what you call catastrophic injury, I got to knock on wood, to Dak Prescott, if there were serious injury suffered early in the season, you know and I know who Jerry thinks the quote-unquote backup quarterback is.
You going to call Tony from the booth?
He's going to call Tony. Call him down from the booth. Now, would Tony accept? That's a whole nother question.
Absolutely he'd accept. You know it too, Skip.
I don't know.
Skip.
It would depend how soon it was and how much he'd gotten his feet underneath him with Jim Nantz in the CBS #1 booth. That's a job that's hard to walk away from.
Let me ask you a question. If you're a professional athlete, would you rather have the #1 booth job or quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys?
It would depend what your self-vision was at that point in your career. Would you accept the fact that I can't stay healthy? that every time I've walked on the field, I've gotten hurt again?
Yeah.
Would you accept the fact that you've fallen out of shape?
What do you mean falling out of shape? Like he's ever fallen in shape?
Okay. All right. But to your point, we saw him try to be Maverick for a night, right? Basketball player.
Ooh.
Didn't look too good. Looked like a dad wearing one of those Maverick jerseys, right?
Yeah. Granddad.
Okay. All right. So Jerry's contingency plan to me, Jerry seems fully content with Kellen Moore as his backup quarterback because he knows that plan B is really Tony Romo. That's what I think.
Yep.
Which brings us to Scott Linehan. He has this sort of unnatural obsession with Kellen Moore. And I get it because they both grew up in small-town state of Washington. And Scott Linehan is sort of blind to a fault, to the faults of Kellen Moore, because Scott Linehan was, as our man Mark Schler says, they were teammates at Idaho, where he was the quarterback at Idaho. And whereas Boise State, it's in Idaho. So Kellen Moore, the quarterback at Boise State, where he was really good. So Scott Linehan, coordinator in Detroit, when they signed Kellen Moore as an undrafted free agent. So they've come up together all the way, and then they went to Dallas, quote unquote, together. So he's going to fight to the death for Kellen Moore. It's just not right because he's blind to what's happening before his very eyes. And that brings me to the backup quarterback, the third-string quarterback, Cooper Rush, who's been just sensational in the preseason. Jerry stopped down in that interview I talked about on NBC to say, oh, boy, the game really slows down for this kid when he's on the field. He's not Colin Kaepernick. Kellen Moore is not Colin Kaepernick. I'm not sure Tony Romo right now could be Colin Kaepernick. I don't think he could be.
No.
So the point is, why wouldn't this just scream for you to do it? Well, maybe the owner would say no for various reasons, which you can delve into if you so choose. But I'm saying a big yes. And I'm hoping everybody could see their way clear to make this happen sooner than later.
Of course, Colin Kaepernick would be an upgrade over Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore is a 5'11", maybe 185, maybe soaking wet with a 5-pound weight in his pocket, 190 pounds. He not only...
They list him at 2-something, but go ahead.
Not even close.
I know.
And he doesn't have a big arm, and he's injury prone.
Yep.
And the team that should know best about not having an adequate backup should be who, Skip? The Cowboys. Remember what happened in 2010?
Do I?
Remember what happened in 2015? It almost happened again in 2016, but Dak Prescott came in and not only shown that he was a capable backup, he showed that he was the quarterback of the future, and the Cowboys could move on without Tony Romo.
Yep.
The last time we saw something like this happen, you know what year it was, Skip? 2001. There's a guy that came off the bench as a 6th-round draft pick in 2000. Starting quarterback got hurt, had a $100 million contract, Drew Bledsoe. Tom Brady comes in. Not only did he prove he was an adequate backup, well, you know, we can say bye-bye to you, Drew. And that's what they did.
Wait, did you just say Dak Prescott is Tom Brady?
Skip.
Wow.
See, you see how
that's a nice thought.
You see how you leap to a conclusion.
It's got some potential, and I appreciate you bringing that up.
All I'm trying to do is just show the similarities.
It is.
That this doesn't happen very often.
Nope, it
There's
doesn't.
a 15, 16-year time gap between the last time we saw that and what we're seeing now. Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, this 6-game suspension for Zeke stands pat. Knock on wood. I hope nothing happens to Dak. But if Dak misses a game or two, Skip, do you actually believe that Kellen Moore, even with that great offensive line, and those running backs that ran for like a zillion yards on Saturday against the Colts.
We're going to talk about that with Eric Dickerson. Thank you for bringing that up also. Keep going.
Do you actually think Kellen Moore can keep this thing in the road?
I do not.
Skip, you saw what happened in 2015.
Yep.
He had a golden opportunity to show Jerry Jones, to show Scott Linehan, Jason Garrett, guys, if something would have happened to Tony Romo down the road, I got you.
That's correct.
What did he show him? Nothing, and he got hurt. And what makes
By the way, Kirk Cousins is now 1-4 against my Cowboys, and the 1 was against Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
You seem surprised by that, Skip.
I'm not surprised.
Skip, what makes it even worse is not only do they knew what they had, they re-signed him in the offseason after he broke his leg last year for $775,000. So they're seeing something that you and I can't see.
Scott Linehan loves him. He's a coach's kid. His father was his high school coach. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And you're just connected. You just think he can figure it out.
Did Scott Linehan start at Idaho? Because I remember John Deep Freeze. I played in a bowl game with John Freeze. Now, he was the starting quarterback. He was the second pick in second round to San Diego Chargers. Okay. So I don't know, maybe Scott was, I don't know, maybe there's this connection between backups and backups. We got to stick together.
Yeah.
Skip.
Maybe.
But you and I both know. First of all, Colin Kaepernick is better than maybe with the exception of Jimmy Garoppolo. I believe Colin Kaepernick is better than every other backup quarterback in the National Football League. I believe he's better than, let's just say, everybody on the Jets, the Bears. So there are a lot of teams. Hell, even my Broncos. Are you telling me that Paxton Lynch and Trevor Siemian are better than you?
I can make a case. I agree with you.
But here,
and I already told you what I think of Baltimore. He's better than anybody on the roster, and he might, to me, he's better and proven to be better than the starting quarterback, Joe Flacco. That's just me.
Well, we know he's 1,000% better than Ryan Mallett.
Yep.
But, Skip, it's hard for me to believe that Jerry will sign Cap. Jerry was the most outspoken owner when this anthem protest started last year. He says, this is my stage, my building, you do it my way. Everybody will stand at attention.
There were several who were very outspoken, but you can make a case.
He was probably the most outspoken one at attention.
Yep.
See, Skip, and everybody's like, Jerry loves to win. Jerry does love to win, but Jerry loves to win his way. Because if Jerry didn't love to win his way, he would have never fired Jimmy Johnson after 2 straight Super Bowls. Because, that night in that bar when he said there's 500 coaches that could have won a Super Bowl with his team, Jimmy said there's 499 because I'm got to get up out of here.
And then Jerry hired number 501. Very switchy. But anyway,
exactly.
Ahead.
And so that's the problem that I think they're up against, Skip, is that Kaepernick and Jerry, I think Jerry philosophically is not where Cap is not really what he wants. But is Cap better than Kellen Moore? Is Cap better than the guy they just took in the draft this year? Absolutely. But I don't see Jerry making this decision.
Cooper Rush was just undrafted.
Skip, and I don't trust anybody with 2 last names first. Cooper and Rush. That's the last. Yeah, your last name got to be Cooper.
I kind of like the name.
No, I don't like it.
I kind of like it.
If I was his mom, I'd have named it Pass Rush.
Huh?
I'd have named it Pass Rush or
Cooper
Color Rush.
Has got star quality to it, though.
Stop it, Skip.
I'm not saying he's going to be a star, but he's been really good. But at Central Michigan, his record was 26-24, and I don't know. He's been playing with third-teamers against third-teamers and lighting it up.
Yeah.
Now what?
But Skip, what have they seen in practice? What have they seen on tape? What have they seen once they've gotten into games that makes them think if they really needed to? Dak was away for, let's just say he went on a sabbatical for 2 weeks. I'm not going to even speak the injury bug into existence. Let's just say he went on a mission for 2 to 3 weeks. Do you actually believe that Kellen Moore can keep this team afloat? When he couldn't do it in 2015, he couldn't. What are they waiting for, Skip?
Seriously, Colin Kaepernick could throw it harder underhand than Kellen can overhand.
Yeah.
That's how soft his arm is now. I'm like, what are you doing? What's happening? It looks like he's hurt all the time, like he's got an injured arm.
He couldn't throw a brick through a plate glass window.
I mean,
so. Skip. It seems like he is taking all he has to throw an out route. Everything looked like it. Nothing just like jumps out of his hand. Everything is just like he's rearing back like he's throwing the javelin. Maybe they know something we don't. And Skip, the thing is when your starter goes down, unless you have a defense that can take the ball away. Now, this is not what the Cowboys defense is. They're not a take the ball away type of defense. Give your offense a short field. They're a team that bends, that doesn't break. Normally, they know the team is going to be behind because they're going to grind it out. They're going to get the ball in the end zone, and they're going to force you to do what, Skip? Throw the football. So now they play that soft cover 2, come up, make the tackle. But Kellen Moore, your drop-off is so substantial. If Dak were to go down, and if you're going to be minus Zeke, it's over. It's over. I don't know what they're waiting on, but you better, and I get it, Skip, because when you get those guys, it's the only position that you try to load up at every other position to make sure. You look at the Patriots, Skip. They got Edelman, Amendola, they trade for Cooks. They got Malcolm Mitchell. They got Chris Hogan. They signed this little free agent guy from some little 84. They just load up every position. Look at cornerback. Look at linebacker, D-line. But it's the one position. We can get by. The guy ain't going to get hurt. Well, ask Bill Polian what happens when Peyton Manning goes down. What happened to you? Ask Jerry Jones when your starting quarterback goes down in 2015, what happened to your season?
By the way, did you just disrespect the name of Austin Carr? Is that who you glossed over there?
Austin,
there's only one Austin Carr, we thought. Now there are two.
Mr. Cavalier.
Huh? Yeah, Mr. Cavalier. He now plays for New England.
Yeah, but
I don't know how he's going to make the roster. But
they'll probably keep him on practice squad. They're going to hold on to him now. They're not going to put him out there, Skip, so someone can sign him.
Yep.
But that's the thing, though, Skip, is that the quarterback, and I get it, you can't have a $3-5 million quarterback when you're paying a guy $20 million. But, Skip, you got to have a guy that you feel comfortable with. If something were to happen, he can keep this thing afloat until your starter comes back. There's no way.
So Saturday night, I sat back watching two teams in dire need of Colin Kaepernick, my Cowboys and the Colts. The Colts, really? Scott Tolzien? Really? Is that? I don't know if Andrew Luck's going to make it back for the opener. It doesn't sound good, does it?
No.
So you're going to go forward with that? Really? Seriously?
Can Cap play D-line?
Okay, but still, somebody's got to play some quarterback.
Skip.
You got no shot.
But we've seen this from the Colts, is that all the years, because you never got Peyton never got hurt, so you really never knew, or don't even worry about the backup quarterback, because Peyton took all the snaps. Peyton even took the kneel down, the victory formation. But all of a sudden, he gets injured. And now you got to have Dan Orlovsky, or you got to have some of these guys play, and you're like, y'all been fooling us. Y'all been looking good in practice or in scout team. You guys couldn't play dead in the horror movie. But that's what you get, Skip.
So, to your final point about Jerry was the most outspoken against anthem protests. I'm with you on that. A lot of owners outspoken, but Jerry really, he went way out there on this one. And I'm not going to read the whole quote, but he was on Dallas radio talking about how much he applauds all the men and women who've given their lives for this country so that we can go out here and put on this show for you in the National Football League, and that he's disappointed that anybody would take advantage of that platform to protest. So he was out on, but that was in September of last year.
Correct.
Since then, as we talked about the last week or so, I think Colin Kaepernick has gone down in history as an impactful spokesman on a racial cause that needed dire attention. And Jerry, above all, is P.T. Barnum. I mean, he is a showman himself. He is the ringmaster. And to me, Colin Kaepernick has become even more famous after playing starting quarterback for San Francisco than he was as the starting quarterback.
No question about that.
So I think Jerry would be intrigued enough by the star power of Colin Kaepernick. He might think this is good, because in the end, Jerry, I've criticized him before. Sometimes I think he's more interested in box office than wins and losses.
Yeah, because I think people are starting to see, and even Cap's staunchest critics are seeing what he was trying to draw attention to. We're seeing it more and more every day. Charlottesville kind of brought a lot of this into the forefront. And so I think Cap is viewed a lot more favorably at this time this year than he was last year.
Yeah. And also the critics are starting to see that all these quarterbacks are not very good. All that Colin Kaepernick isn't good, and that's why he's not signing thing that drumbeat has slowed quite a bit.
And he's better than both quarterbacks in Jacksonville right now, Skip. I'm talking about right off the street, take your clothes out of the back.
I'll buy that.
Right now.
I agree.
No mercy. Hey guys, before we move on, I wanted to tell you that the Undisputed podcast is brought to you by Barbasol. The biggest thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream is also the only thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream. Introducing new Barbasol razors. The brand America trusts for a close, comfortable shave now has premium disposable razors. Barbasol's close shave technology on every razor means you get an advanced pivoting head and ultra-thin open flow blades. The Ultra 6 Plus razor also features a 7th blade specifically designed to refine and style tricky areas like under the nose, sideburns, and beard. Visit Barbasol.com and get a $2 savings coupon and see for yourself why Barbasol razors are the #1 new disposable razors out there. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. no mercy. Ezekiel Elliott did not play Saturday night in the Cowboys' first preseason game since his suspension, but the rushing attack did not miss a beat. Darren McFadden ran for 59 yards on 9 carries, and Alfred Morris added 49 yards. The running back duo averaged 6 yards per carry. We're joined now by Hall of Famer and newest FS1 NFL analyst,
welcome,
Eric Dickerson.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Eric, how much will the Cowboys miss Zeke during his suspension?
They will miss him. They really will. But, you know, like you just said, Alfred Morris and Darren McFadden can carry the load. It's all about the offensive line. I mean, that offensive line plays great. And I look at Darren McFadden, and I think about a guy that has been in this position before. You know, he's backed up, he started. So, you know, it comes back to the offensive line. And also, you know, with Dak Prescott. When I looked at the season last year, I said that Dak Prescott and Zeke Elliott should have been co-MVPs. That's what I thought.
Co-Rookie of the Year.
Co-Rookie of the Year. Yeah. Because, you know, they played that well. And I said MVP.
MVP.
I said MVP.
Oh, the league? Yeah.
Don't shortchange stuff.
Yes, come on. Come on. You talking about
What's in that cup?
What you want some? You're talking about, think about it. You got to talk about 2 young guys that Zeke they expected. Dak they did not expect that, him to play that well. And I tell you, in week 4, I said, this is the Cowboys' new quarterback. And right now, when I look at the Cowboys, I think right now this guy can show that this is my team. This is why I played like I did last year. It wasn't a fluke. You know, in the NFL, it's like this. We see you for a while. The next year we get a chance to really get ready for you. We can really zone in on you. I still believe, when I watched him play, I was at Cowboy camp a couple of days ago and watched him play, throw the football. This kid can throw the football. I mean, he reminds me so much of Warren Moon throwing the ball. So
that's high praise.
That's high praise. Yeah. But I really believe that they will miss Zeke. I mean, they will miss him, but I think they'll survive. I think with the stretch he's out, if he's out 6 games, I think they have a chance to go, if not 5-1, 4-2. I mean, and you know I'm not a Cowboy fan, but, you know, I call it like I see it. I mean, I really believe this is a good football team, and it revolves around those guys up front.
Can I take this moment to welcome Eric to the team? Thank you very much.
I'm not a Cowboy fan, but I have to say what I see.
Edie, we got to get you some laces.
I don't know you don't want these glasses?
No, I don't know what you've been watching. First of all, they'll miss him much more in the regular season than what they missed him Saturday playing against the Colts. That's ridiculous. I don't know who the strength and conditioning coach is, but he need to get those guys in the weight room. You can't, how you gonna have a guy running 9, 10 yards, 15 yards before he get touched? That's utterly ridiculous. And that's more of an indictment on the Colts. Skip, they in a heap of trouble. Now, back to the Cowboys.
Okay.
If I'm a defensive coordinator, and you know this, ED, you got to reinvent yourself because these guys have been burning the midnight oil. How do we stop this team? First quarter of the season, I'm selling out. I'm not letting you run anything. Now, a lot of the teams that they play early on, they're man coverage team. The Giants play man coverage. Spagnuolo, man coverage. Joe Woods going to play man coverage because you got Vaughn, you got that no-fly zone with Harris Jr., Talib, and Roby. Most of the teams they're going to see. So we're going to find out just how good he is. Because I believe in order to stop the Cowboys' offense, you must put them in 3rd and long. When it's 3rd and 1, you in for a long, long day. And then when you get 3rd, because if you can't stop the run, now they're going to play action and throw the ball over your head. Look, up there, McFadden, I get it. Yeah, he can do okay, and Alfred Morris. But that's not Zeke. See, what they had Saturday, if that's Zeke, that's 108 yards for Zeke by himself. Zeke got that home run speed. Matt McFadden is a long strider. It takes him, he got to stop, change direction, so people go catch up with him. Morris just doesn't have that flat-out speed. Zeke has it all. We're going to find out. I mean, hey, that offensive line, yeah, they rolling good, playing the Colts. Hell, I think I could have got 25 yards against the Colts.
You might have.
You might have.
That was you was like.
I could have slid for maybe about 20.
Yeah. I'm running out of bounds, though, because they ain't going to
hit me.
But, Skip, I know you feeling good, and Edie done came up here like, let me shake your hand. But don't worry about it. Early on, you're going to see. The Giants got something for you. And you already know when you go to Mile High what's going to happen. You're starting the season 0-2. 0-2 will be the Cowboys' record after 2 weeks. Now run tell that.
I'm going to run tell you what I thought at the end of the first quarter watching that game the other night. I don't care if they're playing the Indiana's basketball team.
They were.
They were. I thought, bring on those Giants, because that offense is man, they get pushed back to their 5-yard line on the kickoff, and they go 95 yards. 95 yards is shades of last year. It's Dak all over again, and I agree with you. He was at least in the MVP discussion for a long time last year.
Yeah,
they just won 11 straight games is all they did.
Matt Ryan.
And Darren McFadden, I'm going to go so far as to say he's a poor man's Eric Dickerson. Now, he might be a destitute man's Eric Dickerson, but he's somewhere in that poor man. He reminds me somewhat of your style. He runs upright. Again, he doesn't belong in the same breath, but just that long strider style. But what he cannot do, I'm going to give you this. He cannot psychologically dominate teams the way that guy did. Yeah. Because those Cowboys in that playoff game, at Anaheim. Give me the numbers again.
248 on 27 carries. 2 touchdowns, 165 yards.
And ED could stay healthy.
But that's where you're on the sideline. You are, as the defensive unit is taking the field, you are dreading what's coming because you know who's coming. He's coming, and you can't stop him. Well, nobody thinks they can't stop Darren McFadden. But between him and Alfred Morris, who just has a knack for running between the tackles, he's just slippery between the tackles. Between the two of them, because Darren McFadden, listen, when he was at Arkansas, he was a stud now.
Yeah, he
was a high pick, and he's had a 1,000-yard year at Oakland, and he's had a 1,000-year yard for the Cowboys. So you can't take that away. They have had a lot of success in the NFL. Alfred Morris had 3 straight 1,000-yard years to start off his career at Washington. So they ain't Zeke, but they ain't bad. And I don't know a team that's better equipped on the depth chart to withstand the loss of the best running back in football, Ezekiel Elliott.
Best.
He's the best. He's the
Bell,
best.
Le'Veon. Tell it.
No.
I think Le'Veon's the best. I mean, you say all around, I think it's the best. But let's go back to your point. When you think about the Cowboys, let's go back. You say it's not fast. Who wasn't fast to play for the Cowboys, but they had that offensive line?
Emmett.
There we go. I say no more.
Oh, you're trying to say Darren McFadden?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying. It goes to show you don't have to be fast.
No.
You just have to be effective. And they have an effective offensive line with 2 backs that, they're not in their prime anymore. They're not blazers, but they're not Zeke, but they will get the job done. It's all about that. I keep going back. It's all about the offensive line and how well Dak Prescott plays. And the Cowboys defense now. That's a whole nother subject, But with the offense, I like that offense. And without Zeke, I think when it comes down to it, it's going to really hurt Zeke too, in a sense, because when you miss games, you cannot get in football shape not playing football. We know that. I don't care what you do, how much you run, how much you lift, but you cannot get in football. So by the time he comes back in week 6 or if he comes back in week 3, it's a process to get ready. I mean, I held out. I held out. I came back in week 3, ended up breaking my hand on a Monday night. Still had 150 yards and 3 touchdowns. but later on, I had some hamstring problems. It catches up to you. It really does.
Which year was that?
85. Went to that NFC Championship game, but it still catches up to you.
Yeah, and that's the thing, especially when you play a skill position where explosiveness is your wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. When they miss time, they come in groin, hamstring, quad, calf, and that's what Zeke is explosive. And if you see the way he's built tight.
Yeah.
So I'm Skip. I don't like to be. You think I like giving you bad news? I don't like it. I love it. You're gonna be 0-2, and your defense is gonna be some trash this year.
Did you just say my defense?
Defense.
Did we get that on?
Yes.
Trash.
He's counting on. Think about it. They revamped their entire secondary. Defensive line, 2 or 3 of the starters are not going to be there to start the season. David Irvin, he was behind the GNC counter with the lock.
With the lock?
Yeah, he got that stuff that had the lock and key. He said he didn't know what he was taking.
He didn't know what he was taking?
Yeah. But that's okay. But he got this guy, Taco Charlton. He flashed twice in 3 preseason games, and now, oh, boy, you ought to see
him Saturday night? He flashed 2 or 3 times in that game.
Played against the Colts.
Okay.
But it is pro football.
Yeah.
No.
I know it, but you got to say it is pro football.
And by the way, I had my first sighting of number 54 on my defense. Who knew?
Ooh. ED, let me ask you a question.
What?
He had a
Jalen Smith.
Jalen Smith.
They stole him in the second round.
They did steal him in the second round.
Okay.
But let me ask you a question. Okay. When you were playing, you were the number 2 pick in the draft.
Right.
Were you playing against third teamers? Like Taco Charlton?
Well, in the preseason I was, sometimes. Because I didn't start in the preseason. You got to think about it.
You holding out.
No, I was not. I was not holding out. I wasn't starting.
You started off on a bad note, holding out.
No, I did not. I held out later. No, I didn't. I played against the backup guys, you know. But I'm telling you, when I see this kid, Jalen Smith, he can play. He has high energy. He can run. He can hit. You can tell he loves playing football.
Right.
The Cowboys need that.
See,
they need somebody to get to the quarterback.
That's an objective Cowboys opinion.
No, you need somebody to get to the quarterback.
Who's going to get to the quarterback? That's what I need you to tell me.
Maybe Jalen Smith will. Coming off that edge, you never know. Blitzing up the middle. You
can't do it all.
No mercy. Jared Goff looked pretty good for the Rams in Saturday night's win over the Raiders. Goff played nearly the entire first half, throwing for 160 yards and a touchdown. After the game, new coach Sean McVay said, quote, "We're very pleased." Eric Dickerson is still with us. Eric, you know this team very well. So how much faith do you have that Goff will be the Rams franchise quarterback?
I felt like this is one of the first times, and he's a young quarterback. He played a few games last year, that he had a chance to throw the football, had a chance to really step up in the pocket, not have to rush the ball out. And when you got a real offensive coordinator, offensive-minded football coach, you have a chance. And I kept saying this over and over. I did not want to see what happened to Jeff George in Indianapolis when I was there. Didn't give him a chance, no offensive coordinator. Offensive line was terrible. And now I think that we have some kind of a chance with a young offensive-minded coach. Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator. Sean McVay is an offensive-minded guy. You know, not all defense. You know, so I feel like that he could be that guy. He made some great throws Saturday night. He really did. I mean, impressed me. Can't run. I don't think he's thinking about running too much. But some of the throws he made were top-notch throws. I mean, they were NFL throws. I'll say it again. It's preseason. Okay. You know, I got to, you know, it's only preseason. Played against the Raiders. Not a great defense.
Oh, okay.
But
the starting defense is bad.
Yeah.
So what about the second and third?
But still, I say it again. You know, it's an NFL team. Okay. It's NFL. And he did look good. Come on, he did look good. He looked like he could possibly. That's why we picked him number one. I said, and I think about it, he is accurate. He's an accurate quarterback. So I know you don't like it. I can tell you. You know, I can tell you. I can tell the buildup is coming. Edie, you got to be the limbo champ because this bar's so low, and how you managed to get up under that bar that low. Skip, we're talking about a guy that was the first overall pick, and let me tell you how they got him. They swapped with Tennessee, and they gave up a 1, 2 2s, and 2 3s. Like my grandma would say, boy, we eating ketchup with a knit needle. That's how poor they're going to be for the next couple of years. And we up here talking about he went 16 of 20 in the preseason against the Raiders, whose starting defense is suspect. So what about the backups to the backups? How they going to look? We're not talking about the game, Skip. We're not talking about a regular season game. We're talking about preseason. Practice. It's still NFL, though. Hey, don't cut it. Go ahead.
Okay, in 2 weeks, what will some of these guys be doing? Driving beer trucks, grad assistants, or working at UPS. And I'm supposed to believe that not all of a sudden. Okay, it's a nice start. But I'm not putting 16 or 20. I want to see the first game when they play real, and we're going to blitz it because, you know, you don't even watch film of the opposing team in the preseason until week 3, Skip. Because that's when you start game planning. ED, won't you tell the truth now? You're going to come up and tell the regular
wait a minute, hold on. You know, I'm going to always tell the truth. They asked how did he play in that game.
Okay.
There you go. I mean, I didn't say, you know, it's going to be ready for like that the whole season. But he looked good in that football game. You got to give him credit.
So, Shannon Sharpe.
Yes.
Are you ready to proclaim Jared Goff a bust?
I'm going to give him another year. I give him a year. Because I agree with ED. Jeff Fisher hadn't had the greatest history with quarterbacks. The way he beat down Vince Young. Now, Steve McNair did win an MVP, did take him to the Super Bowl under Jeff Fisher. But Jeff and quarterbacks, that mindset is kind of like Buddy, rest his soul, Buddy Ryan in quarterbacks. He's a defensive-minded coach. He caters to that side of the football. He wants to run it. Let's play great defense behind it. When you trade up in the draft and take a quarterback number 1, Skip, the last thing you ought to be thinking about doing is handing the ball off. Because you moved up to get him for a reason, not to hand the ball off, to throw it. So let him throw the ball.
To your point, I'm going to blame all of last year that Jared Goff had on Jeff Fisher. You had your issues occasionally with Jeff, and I'm not.
Oh,
some. I am a fan of Jeff's as a defensive football coach because he could coach him some defense. And when he had Steve McNair, has there ever been a guttier, grittier quarterback?
No.
Because he was like a linebacker playing quarterback. Did anyone take more punishment at quarterback than Steve McNair did?
No.
My God.
Brett Favre.
Maybe.
Well, Steve having to have ribs removed and ankle surgery and shoulder surgery and wrist surgery.
Because he did it the hard way.
Yeah.
Jeff Fisher, especially when he's not bought into the quarterback originally, and from all I read, I'm not close to the team, maybe you heard, but I don't think Jeff was bought into all that they had to give to get Jared Goff. And he clearly wasn't bought into Vince Young in Tennessee. And I know Vince, and I've said it many times before, I believe Jeff Fisher wrecked Vince Young, derailed his career. I know Vince has to take some of the responsibility for it himself, but Jeff Fisher went out of his way with his media ties, and he has a lot of voices in the media who he was close to ruin Vince because he just didn't like him. He didn't like the way he comported himself, and he didn't want him drafted in the first place. What was Vince, the third overall?
Third.
Yeah.
That was Mr. Adams' pick.
And all Vince did his first year, he was the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And if you look at his one-loss record, it was pretty great given the fact that he was playing against his own head coach half the time. And I'm not saying that Jeff made it that hard on Jared Goff, but he just has no use for rookie starting quarterbacks because they don't get the head coach anywhere, and Jeff was just hanging on barely to winning games, so he's going to go with whoever he thinks can win him the games. Right. And he thought last year, who was it, Sean Mannion or whoever?
No, they didn't play Sean. They played Sean in the preseason.
Yeah.
I can't think of the quarterback who started.
Case
Keenum, right.
Yeah, he thought, well, obviously you'd think that Case Keenum could win more games than Jared Goff, but you drafted Jared that high, you gave that much of a king's ransom for him for a reason. And I didn't think he was great at Cal, but I thought he was pretty good. And I didn't have a huge problem with them paying that ransom for him because you needed a quarterback. And I think he will flourish under a guy in Sean McVay who did, I thought he worked some wonders with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
he did.
Would you think that Kirk Cousins would be making $20 million a year?
Yeah, that's the
for 2 years, but 44 total.
No, when you first saw him play, I'm like, no, this guy, it's no way. And I really believe that one day, and like I said, he's not there yet. He's a rookie. This is really his first year. Right. And when you change offensive coordinators, you have one year and one the next year. It's hard on anyone. It's a running back. When you play in a system over and over, you get used to that system. The offensive line, you play up the same offensive line. They start knowing each other. The running back, they know each other. That's what makes you roll. I mean, it's the same thing when you played in
well, hell, that offensive coordinator he had last year, hell, he didn't remember any of the plays, so it should be easy to move into Sean McVay.
Well, first of all, when you watched the offense last year, I knew what they were going to do. I said, okay, the first play going to be an off tackle play. They're going to probably stuff that. The next play going to be a check down. The next play going to be out. And sure enough, I'm like, golly, I could be calling these plays.
And the next play is going to be punt.
Right? And they play punt them.
But they did add Sammy Watkins.
They did.
Give them a legitimate number one receiver. Well, because I don't know what they were thinking. Now, Tavon Austin, but you can't have 5'8" slot receiver being your number one receiver. That's not going to cut it.
I like Tavon coming out in the draft, but he has not lived up to being an outside receiver.
No, do you like that 300 yards? He had a couple of big games. And he ran that 4.2 coming out the combine, and he just moved up the draft boards.
Yeah, but like it's Tavon is a guy that you put in the slot. You do gadget plays versus pitch the ball to him in the back. But he's not a guy that's defense going to say, we have to double cover him. No. They don't worry about that.
And you know what? I think that kid they drafted out of Eastern Washington in the third round, that Cooper Kupp, he caught a touchdown pass from Jared Goff the other night. He looks like he can play.
He reminds me of Edelman, a guy that he's not that fast, but how does he get open? How does he get open? He made a great catch in the dirt. I mean, I'm like, wow. I mean, this is a big time catch. That's what you have to do to make a football team.
Yeah.
And make your quarterback look good. So, like I said, I know you're not sold on our quarterback yet.
Yeah, I had to make John look good. I had to make him look good, Skip. I'm coming in, had to take it off my shoe and everything. Hey. Just to get it close.
All of a sudden, there are all these little white guys playing receiver. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like a new
I don't know
deal.
either.
You see what Wes Welker started and Ricky Prohl?
Yep. Eric, thanks for joining us.
No mercy.
Anquan Boldin announced yesterday that he will retire after 14 years in the NFL. Boldin had signed with the Bills earlier this month and is 9th all-time in receptions. Boldin said, "Football has afforded me a platform throughout my career to have a greater impact on my humanitarian work. And at this time, I feel drawn to make larger fight for human rights as a priority. My life's purpose is bigger than football." Rob Parker is still with us, but Shannon, let me start with you. What are your thoughts?
I applaud him. I applaud Anquan because he's a guy that was greatly impacted by this police brutality on unarmed black men. His cousin was killed by a plainclothes officer as he waited beside the road. He went to Congress and asked them about policy reform and said how the black community is impacted differently than any other community when it comes to policing. And I think people don't realize just how great a receiver he was. He's still, to this day, the only rookie receiver to ever catch for 100 yards in a season. He's still the only player, his first game, had 217 yards receiving.
I covered that game. It was against the Lions, and you know who else was the other receiver in that game who had a big day? Charles Rogers. They both debuted that day, and Charles Rogers had 100.
He had like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, Charles Rogers had 3 touchdowns and like 160 yards, and Anquan Boldin had 217.
And you ripped the Lions.
And I ripped the Lions that day.
And the thing is, when you think about Anquan Boldin, yeah, we know what he did on the field, over 1,000 catches. Joy, you mentioned it in the read-in, 9th on the all-time reception list. But he was also 2015 NFL Man of the Year. And how do you become Man of the Year? It's not what you do on the football field, it's what you do in your community. Skip, he was greatly impacted by what happened to his cousin.
Yep.
And he realized that, you know what, I can go and I can make $2.5 million, $3 million a year. But at this present time, my greater calling is calling me to speak, use my voice, as opposed to using my skill set on the football field. I commend him. These athletes of today are taking more of a stance. They don't just want to be role models. They also want to be moral authority. And they have power, and they realize it. Alice Walker said the biggest mistake people make with power is believing that they don't have any. We have power. Anquan Boldin is going to use his power, use his voice, because he says he believes that there's a greater calling for him to do this than catch touchdowns and possibly help a team get to the Super Bowl.
Definitely admirable, and I co-sign what you say about him. He's always been that kind of a quiet guy, just doing stuff. And he puts his money where his mouth is, because he has put in the other work to try to get things to happen and to make change. So I admire that about him. And it's not when he says he has a bigger calling than football, he's not demeaning the game. And sometimes people say, oh, these guys, they think football's not. It's not that. It's that there comes a point in your life where you just realize catching another football is not going to change anything. And he's accomplished that. He's done everything he needs to do on a football field, right? Came close to winning the Super Bowl,
He won
right?
it in Baltimore.
Oh, Baltimore, right. I was thinking.
Lost in Arizona.
In Arizona, that one I was thinking they were 2 minutes away from winning that Super Bowl. So for him to go do this, like I said, he serves as a role model, and I think other guys can look at him and say, here's a guy who is trying to change the world, and it's a good thing.
Anquan Boldin, to me, has been a man on the football field and a man off the football field. He's been clutch on the field, and in a new and different way, he's being clutch off the field. And I need to compliment him for that run that he made in 2012 with your ex-team, the Ravens. He made Joe Flacco the highest paid player in pro football through that stretch. It was 4 playoff games in which he had close to 400 yards receiving, and he caught 4 touchdown passes. And at New England, do you remember how many third down catches? All Flacco had to do was just look for him and just throw it in the vicinity, and he would go up and snatch it out of the sky. And in that Super Bowl against San Francisco, he had 3 huge third down catches in that game. And again, they got way ahead. The lights went out. I don't know what happened, but
somebody kicked the plug out.
That first touchdown, Skip.
Hey, he caught it. He was supremely clutch, game after game after game. Against Indy, then in the Hail Flacco game, he caught 6 for 71 in that game. Then at New England, they've just had New England's number, but he had New England's number that day because he had 2 touchdown catches at New England. Then they get to the Super Bowl, and he goes 6 for 104 yards and another touchdown. Wow. That was one of the great receiver runs. I know it was 7th in overall yardage in playoffs, but that was Shannon Sharpe-esque, right?
Yeah, but Skip, when I look at this young man, Skip, And it's easy to say, well, and like you said, Rob, well, he's trying to demean it. He's made all his money. At some point in time, he's like, what good? How do I change the perception? If you think Anquan Boldin, call him Q, is a Hall of Famer, there's nothing he can do to add or subtract from that. But he says at this juncture of my life, there's nothing I can add on that side that's going to make me feel better about myself that if I go do this. I mean, it's a totally different ball game when you live through something. You know, Skip, I'm talking about this and I'm trying to promote, and it's not like I'm anti-anything. I'm pro this. But when you have to live through that, you know what it's like to have a blood relative lose his life senselessly. Side the road and a plainclothes officer takes his life. That moved him and called him to action. Now, he was already NFL Man of the Year, but it called him to action in another way. And he's saying the reform that we have in our communities, we're policed differently. And it's not right. And I'm coming before you, Congress. What can we do? Yeah. How can we do better? How can we interact with you better? Because I wanted to tell you how you can interact with us better. I commend Q because he's a heck of a player. Don't know him that well, but I had an opportunity, obviously, when he was around Baltimore, to get to know him a little bit, Skip. But this is to be commended. And I believe you'll see guys that moral authority is going to be even a greater impact on these guys' lives moving forward.
You know, on Twitter the other day, someone tweeted to me, because this is always the pushback, the number of black people killed by police officers, and then they give you the number of black people killed by black people. And I said, you just don't get it. The difference is one group is there to protect and serve. It's not you can't put the two together because there's always bad guys. And you know, on one side, that's not the fair comparison. How could you put those two together?
Yeah, but they're killing the good guys. And a police officer says, "Well, I was in fear for my life." Skip, if he has a badge, a gun, a taser, and a walkie-talkie, and he's in fear for his life, what about me with nothing?
Well, I mean, to Rob's point, the police are there's always going to be bad guys, white, black, any other color.
Yes,
but y'all killing the ones that are
supposed to protect and serve. It's very nice of Anquan Boldin to stand up and say what exactly he's talking about. We mentioned that
Job
earlier.
well done, Q.
Yeah, big time. Do you think he just got bored with football at this point, or
no? Skip. Rob. Football is you got to be all in. Ain't no halfway because that body aches, getting up, the monotony, and the performance. Because Q is he's at a level that he can't catch 20 passes. And it's like, okay, I made $2 or $3 million. That's not him. He wasn't 100% in. He felt this had a greater calling for him. He was more to this than to that, and he did the right thing. He didn't steal Buffalo's money. I'm out of here.
I agree.
No mercy.
LeBron James is reportedly 100% leaving Cleveland again next summer, and many think that LeBron will come to L.A. to join Magic Johnson's Lakers. But this weekend, Blake Griffin said on the View from the Cheap Seats podcast that he doesn't see LeBron coming to L.A. Blake added there's a better chance LeBron lands in New York for the chance to play at Madison Square Garden. Skip, can you see this happening?
I can, for one huge reason, Shannon Sharpe.
Why is that?
For all this talk about LeBron to the Lakers or LeBron to my Spurs, let's face it, there is no way that LeBron James, in what would be his 16th NBA season after this next season, would subject himself to the Western Conference playoffs. That would be, again, this next year will be his 15th, obviously. All of them have been, of course, in the Eastern Conference. And he knows, because he's a smart man, highest basketball IQ in the game today, that there's only one way to catch that, as he calls it, that ghost in Chicago. It's to keep on cakewalking in the Eastern Conference. Well, you know it, I know it, because he's going to be a lock next year, with or without Kyrie, to get to his 8th straight finals.
Not no lock, Skip.
It's a lock. Well, come on, wait a second. No Jimmy Butler, no Paul George, no Paul Millsap, no Jeff Teague. Do you want me to go on? It's a lock.
Boston has improved.
Oh, please,
the
quit
Nets,
making the
case. Heat has improved.
Did you see the Nets?
The Heat.
Yeah, the Heat have improved. I will give you
that.
that. But
you proud of yourself.
So, obviously, he's already making big point that he's made it to 7 straight finals, and Michael Jordan never did that. Well, it's because Michael would have made it to 8 straight finals, except that he was asked to take a little sabbatical after the first 3, right?
Well, LeBron would be playing every game if he could take 2 years off.
Okay. But in the East, where he will stay until it's over, he could get to, let's just throw a number out there, he could get to 10 straight finals in the East. So even if he finished, let's do the hypothetical here, if he just kept losing to Golden State or San Antonio or even Houston, what if he gets to 3-8 overall in the finals? He could still say, but I got to 10 straight finals. Did Michael ever come close to that? No, Michael only got to 3 straight and then 3 straight. So he would have some claim to fame in the East that he can't risk not having in the West, because do you really think in year 16 that he wants to try to build or rebuild his legacy in the West, where he might run into, who knows, you might run into Golden State early, you might run into San Antonio, Houston, and over. Does LeBron, in year 16 or 17, does LeBron James want to risk a first-round exit in the West?
He don't know.
Really?
He doesn't know anything about first-round
No, he doesn't, because he's been in the cakewalk for so long. Seriously. Well, you know it, and I know it.
I don't know anything.
It's just been a joke. It's like 12-0, maybe 11-1. I thought they'd go 12-0. What was it, 11-1, right?
Yeah.
Come on, 11-2. No,
11-1, they lost what?
They lost.
They lost 1 game.
1 game, right? Okay. And it took like some miracle shot that bounced all around on the rim and fell through.
Yeah, LeBron was sick.
He was sick. Yeah, he was sick. I
under
forgot
the
about
weather.
that. That's what Richard Jefferson said. Yeah. So, look, here's the point. In the end, why would you do it? Why wouldn't you go to New York? If you can get some of the banana boat crew to go to New York, I'm good with that.
And ride where? Well, you can ride the banana boat down to Hudson?
Yeah.
Oh, you think you Captain Sullenberger?
Well, you ride it down 34th Street.
No.
34th Street all the way down to 8th Avenue to Madison Square Garden. How about that?
No. That's not going to happen.
Why not?
First of all, I would lend a little more credence to these comments if Blake was in LeBron's inner circle. This is my first time ever hearing Blake Griffin and LeBron James mentioned in the same sentence. Now, he could hope, because he doesn't want LeBron to come to L.A. to make the Clippers even more irrelevant than they already are. They had their chances when David Stern stole Chris Paul from the Lakers and put him on the Clippers. They had their opportunities to go to the Western Conference Final. They were up 3-1, and they choked it off.
They did?
They had a nice little thing. It was lob-sided, all that. First of all, you don't need to be commenting on what LeBron's going to do, Blake. You worry about the CP3 less Clippers. Y'all might not even make the playoffs while you all bumping your gums. And you had an opportunity while Kobe was like on the downturn. You know, they were losing and he was injured a lot. That was your opportunity to bring the Clippers into prominence. Now, guess what? Every night, Clippers game will be friends and family, because that's all who's going to be watching. Everybody's talking about Magic Johnson and Lonzo Ball and the Lakers. Now, when they get old King, if the King come, King, Magic, Lonzo, ooh, Skip. Can you imagine that'll be reverberating from China to Russia, all over the world? They be talking, China be talking about, did you see LeBron? Did you see LeBron? Lonzo?
Wait a second. Lonzo is going to be so good by then that why would they need some washed-up 16th-year player?
Whoa,
seriously.
You see how you do that?
No, I'm serious.
You see what you did,
Well,
Skip?
you know who's going to want to come there? I'm going to tell you. I'm going to be ahead of this. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook might just say, let's reunite with Lonzo in L.A.
If I'm Russell, I don't want no parts of KD. KD done left me high and dry. You done jilted me at the altar. You don't get no second chance to marry me after you done turned me down. We had an engagement, and you called it off.
Okay, but they both proved what they needed to prove.
Yeah.
One averaged a triple-double, one MVP. The other one was the finals MVP. I think it's 50-50, level playing field.
No. Love is like an eclair. Once it goes cold, it can never be reheated. That love.
Is that true?
That's very true.
I don't know about the eclair. I know about love. But
Jordan know about the eclair. You eat them.
I would eat an eclair, yeah.
You would. What you mean you would?
Why
you have.
Can you eat an eclair cold?
No. Once it goes cold, it can't be reheated.
It can't be
Why?
reheated.
No.
What happens to
Because the mush inside of it. And let me tell my story. Stop trying to go and dig into everything I say.
I don't understand
As I was saying, LeBron doesn't need no buzz. LeBron can play in somebody's backyard and there will be a buzz. It's not the same.
Mosquitoes.
Whatever, Skip. I know you talk about, the Madison Square Garden and all this buzz and, the heavyweight title fights and they won. Stop it.
Yep.
That's LeBron James. Let me ask you a question. Is it the arena or is it the Rolling Stones? Is it the arena or is it U2? It doesn't matter where they play. They play in Giant Stadium because that's the capacity. That's how many people want to see them.
Okay.
But it's not the arena that they're going to see. It's the group. It ain't the building with King James. It's him. They show up in droves. They come from miles. I drove 1,000 miles, paid $800 for tickets. Please play tonight, LeBron James. That's why they do that. When do you ever see them hold up signs that says, I drove 2,000 miles, paid $500 for tickets to see Blake Griffin play? It's priceless. When have you ever seen a sign that says that? I have not, you have not, you will not. So as a matter of fact, Blake, keep LeBron's name out your dentures. He's going where he wants to go. We might end up in Cleveland at the Riverwalk. But since that's your team, we might have to go someplace else.
You know, quick aside here to your point. I've seen the Rolling Stones 3 times in my life, twice in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl and Texas Motor Speedway, but I saw them in London at Wembley Stadium, and I think the stadium was better than the Stones. I mean, it was just such a historic venue.
Let me ask you a question.
Just for the record.
Okay, just for the record. How many people you think you can go get to see, go fill up Wembley Stadium if nothing is going on?
If nothing is going on?
Nothing. How many people showing up? Exactly. So when the Rolling Stones come, they came to see the Rolling Stones.
They probably have tours every day. It's historic, man.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff's
3, 4
happening.
nights, and that's LeBron. If LeBron played a basketball game, he played 3 games in 4 nights, he'd sell out Wembley Stadium because they'd want to see him. To say I saw it.
I think the Cowboys would. But
Man, stop. Ain't nobody talking about the Cowboys. We talking about the last segment.
LeBron's team.
I don't care. I'm talking about
my
LeBron.
team and LeBron's team, the Dallas Cowboys.
First of all,
how can you debate that?
And he keeps talking about, and Blake was talking about, look, Skip, D Wade about to be 36. Carmelo on them bad knees, and CP3. We gonna see what is gonna happen in Houston, but we trying to stack some titles still. I mean, look, we might want to get with the guys, my best buddies, but that's going to be a year like 18, 19. I ain't trying to get with them right now, 15, 16. Skip, that's not going to happen because I'm trying to win these titles right now. And these guys, my buddies, I don't really believe they can help me win a title currently. Now, D-Wade get that buyout. He can come on over there, come off the bench for us, give us about 15 points a night. That'd help us out.
Well, now, if LeBron wanted to join Durant and Steph and Clay and Draymond,
I won't even
take the veteran minimum.
No,
maybe he could win a ring in the West that way. I'll give you that one.
This is what you and I know. LeBron James is not playing for no vet minimum unless it's $30 million.
He should.
No, he shouldn't.
What's he make off the court?
I don't. Will you stop counting that man's pockets?
I'm not. Forbes does. I don't have to because
you ain't got to read the article.
Well,
he made $55 million off the court.
$55 million? So you're not going to take the veteran minimum?
No, hell no.
$55 million? So you make more than anybody in the league in total.
Okay, let me ask you.
You wouldn't just say, I'll take the veteran minimum so we can add stars?
Okay, let me ask you.
We know LeBron needs stars. He needs help, man.
Can I ask you a question? They coming out with this new iPhone in about a month or 2. Tim Cook going to give you a discount? I mean, he worth about $3 or $4 billion. Why can't he discount iPhones? Exactly. LeBron James not giving any discount.
Is there a demand?
Oh, he's in demand. Not only is he in demand, he's on demand. Skip, you need to stop playing talking about this man going to take. Hold on. Owners don't take less money.
15th year, 16th year, 17th year.
I don't care if he played year 27.
I mean, unless you just say he's a box office draw, but he can't live up to the money.
Yes, he can. Skip, you need to stop. Huh? Every game, every arena he shows up in is a sellout. Who you think they're going to see?
Huh. Well, I just gave you this. I said they're going to be in the finals with or without Kyrie in the East next year.
And why would that be? He was going to the finals without Kyrie. He was going to the finals without Kevin Love. He went to the finals without D. Wade and Chris Bosh.
Because Gordon Hayward is being extremely overrated. That's why.
Look.
Come on, do you really think he's going to change life in Boston? Are they that much better with Gordon Hayward?
LeBron didn't have no cakewalk. LeBron eat cake. Used to. He don't
Do
eat
that
cake no
cakewalk, LeBron.
He gluten
Just
free
cookies
diet.
now?
He's on a gluten-free diet. You saw him at the table. He had the round table last night. He had Drake over, Mav, all his boys was over at the table. They set a big fine feast. Had somebody come in and prepare it for him.
And he posted it, right?
Yeah, he posted it.
Posts everything.
Why you worried about it? You don't follow him. I follow it. And it was a nice.
This is news to me. Well,
I liked that I showed up because I was
Drake
invited.
was there?
Yeah, Drake was
I
there.
thought he was down on Drake.
No, why?
I don't know. Just seems like Drake likes
Drake
other
is
people.
boy. Drake is boy, his home boy.
Isn't Drake he's a Raptors fan, though?
That's what I
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. I mean, behind closed, he like, LeBron, I got to put on this good show, but you know I'm your dog. Raptors ain't got nothing for you. You got to say that.
Maybe LeBron's going there.
No,
Is that,
he's not going to Canada.
That's subtle.
Yeah.
No, LeBron, I know where we're going, but I'm not going to lead on to that road.
Well, go ahead. San
Nope.
Antonio?
Nope.
LeBron and Kawhi.
You're reporting.
Then you'd have the second best two-way player, LeBron, with the first best.
I don't care about, I got the best player. I got the best, best.
But we, meaning the Spurs, are going to have Kawhi and Kyrie. Kawhi and Kyrie.
And you're still not going to the finals. You're still not going. Y'all not been Golden State.
Shannon? You have the scoop?
I'll let you know
keep
later.
that from us?
I'm gonna keep that up on
Shady.
the
Like
cover.
Matt Ryan was going to be the MVP.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Join us again same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.